Velko, you there?
Yes, sir. Frank.
What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, sir? Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. This is Mr. Frank Crinite. Um, and Frank, this is everyone. These are
Everyone, how are you?
the members of our secret coaching group. Right now, we're a
Nice.
little bit behind schedule, so we only have 7 participants, but they're looking forward to meet with you and learn as much as possible from you. Um, Maybe we could do a live stream in the near future, if you don't mind, for our bigger audience.
That'd be great. Absolutely. Sorry about the time frame today. A little bit of a crazy day.
Don't worry. This is just going to be in more intimate form with just 7 or 8 people. So
Sounds great.
relax and just please let us know what do you do, where do you do it, how do you do it, and why do you do it?
What do? I build on relationships every day. Every day I'm shaking hands, kissing babies, walking around like I'm running for office. I'm basically looking for votes every day. I'm not looking to sell cars. I'm looking to, you know, to get votes. But more importantly, you're genuine about it. You know what I mean? It's not a fake. How's your family? I really want to know how your family is. Everybody, embraces you on Facebook. That's one of the reasons I keep a personal page and not just a business page. Is that everybody doesn't just see my post of Frank sold this many cars, Frank sold this many this month or last year. They also see, it endears you to the customer. The customer endears them to yourself with, seeing your family, being out in the community, pictures of birthday parties, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what town do you sell cars? How big is the town? How big is the city? What brand do you
Uh,
sell, and how long you been selling?
so Honda, 18 years. We were in a small store probably about 3.5 years ago, and we outgrew that. So we moved about a mile away. The city I'm in, Springfield, it's not very big at all. There's probably 20,000 people, I guess, in Springfield, but the community around it is large. We're outside of Philadelphia, probably about 10, 15 miles outside of Philadelphia, suburb out there. But stayed with the Piazza organization for 18 glorious years, and staying in one place definitely helps.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely helps. So, what did you do before you started selling cars? What was your profession before?
What was my profession before? So I started out at a marketing firm in basically calling, doing telemarketing. So I started, we do surveys for a marketing company. So, it could have been a product like Teflon pans, or, some KitchenAid product, or something that everybody uses in the household, like Tide or something like that. And you would basically cold call, they give you a list of numbers, and you're cold calling and, trying to get people to answer what you say is about 5 minutes of questions, but actually ends up being about 25 minutes of questions. And I did that for about 6 months, and I dominated the telemarketing field to the fact that my boss was so excited. They were actually listening into my phone calls to make sure I wasn't just cheating and marking off the surveys, because the people that were there were getting maybe 5 or 6 surveys a day, which I found that they found to be great. Where I was getting 20 surveys a night, and I still remember they kept going, yeah, we're going to do your 6-month review, we'll get you a raise, So I'm thinking, great. I mean, look, they're really going to promote me through this company. And I go into the office, and I think her name was Lori. Lori, she sits down and she's reviewing my chart and saying how great I am and how far I'm going to go in this company, and continues to praise me. And then, after about 10, 15 minutes, shows me a raise of a quarter an hour. And, I sat back and, tried to negotiate a little more, and said, that's not how this business works. And you got to put your time in and everything. So, I politely thanked her, and walked out of the job that day, and
Well,
told myself that
it wasn't the
I would
quarter that
never.
it wasn't the quarter that we use as a lingo in the car business, like two.
No, 25 cents, 25 miraculous cents. So at that point, I told myself I would never let anybody tell me how much my time was worth. And I filled in a couple jobs. I started doing marketing for a company called Green Mountain Energy, which was when all the electric companies deregulated. It's a reverse pyramid. Basically, start with your family, your friends. You build your build your book of business up, build your referral base up from there, go into people's homes, get invited into people's homes, which helped me out a lot, immensely. Give you prospectus to go through, and just from doing those steps, and kind of helped me in my sales career. And at some point, I just opened the paper and found a job in the car business, and 18 years later, here I am.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask you, why do you sell cars? Why cars? You can sell anything you want, but why cars?
People ask me that all the time. Why don't you sell houses, or why don't you sell Mercedes or something like that? And I kind of equate it to it's a high getting to go from selling 100 cars a month, rather than having to be in a long-term relationship with people all day. You get to build on a lot of relationships rather than just being in a long-term relationship, like the real estate market. My best friends are real estate agents, and they might take 100 phone calls from the same person just to do one transaction, where me, I may never talk to anybody, because everything's done pretty much over text message, instant messenger, phone call here or there. But to me, the excitement of the car business, being one of the only businesses that's a month-to-month business rather than a quarterly business, really attracted me, my personality, my drive to this business. And it's nothing to do about cars. Like I never knew much about cars. I'm not mechanically inclined. I mean, from being in the business, I know a lot of stuff about cars now, but I never knew anything about cars. I just knew I liked a car. I had a Honda when I applied for the job. I'm like, oh, let me go to a Honda store. Honda seemed like great cars. And
Yes.
for me, having a Honda, a 1990 Prelude, and I bought it with 157,000 miles on it, and never put a dollar into it besides a clutch that I burned out, and drove it till it had 212,000 miles on it as my first car. I used that as my in with people, to talk when I first started out in the car business about my relationship with Honda, that, kind of broke the ice for people. So, me owning that car probably sold me a couple thousand cars just from conversation, of being able to bring that situation up.
Yeah, so you are emotionally attached to the brand, I assume, for 18 years selling it. You probably drive Honda now. The Prelude is a beautiful model. What year of Prelude did you drive? One from the 80s?
Oh, it was a 1990 SI, flip-up lights, black, stick shift, great car. And I thought I was the man driving that car.
Of course, you're gonna burn the clutch on this thing.
Yeah, well, nobody told me not to drive with my foot on the clutch pedal all the time, so it kind of burned out pretty quickly. But that was my own fault.
I remember I did the same thing with my Mustang. I had to replace my clutch at 11,000 miles. So, and then when I found out it wasn't covered by warranty, I was even more pissed off.
Yeah, right.
So, obviously, you didn't just started selling 100 cars per month. So could you walk us through your career slowly? How many were you selling in your first 5 years? How did you get to 100 cars per month? Because I think you just broke your own record of 1,200 cars in 2017, right?
2017. Yeah, last 2016 I did 1,000, right over 1,000. Last year was just 1,200, and this year I'm pacing a little bit more, so I'm up a couple percent from what last year is. I got a couple personal things going on this year in life. We got baby number 3 coming in a couple weeks, so we'll see how that factors into my performance this year. But I'm sure I'm forecasting a great 2018. But how I got so my first full month was I started March 21st of 2000 in the car business, and my first full month, April. My first car deal was a 2-car deal, by the way, so I think I was destined to be in this business. But my first full month, I sold, I think it was 14 cars my first full month, which everybody told me was great, miraculous. And really all I did was, just say hi to people, pull up a car, drive it, and then come back in, grab my sales manager, and just shut up and listen to him close the deal, TO the deal, basically for the first couple months of my career. And it just grew from there. And being young when I started, I think I was about 20, 21 years old when I started. So being 21, you're out every night. You're meeting people all the time. So I told everybody what I was doing. I asked what they did for a living, but being 21, we were at the bars every night. So Monday we had a bar, Tuesday, Wednesday, but you get to know the bartenders, you get to know the bar staff, you get to know everybody, out of the clubs, the bouncers, all that stuff. So, you're meeting them and, talking to them and, they're helping you out by, you're not waiting in line at the club. Hey, listen, man, you need a car, come see me. This is where I work. We'll roll out the red carpet for you. And that started the snowball, effect of where I'm at today.
So you would suggest that you need to take pride in what you do and be public with that, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. I never felt like selling cars was a dirty word. My general manager from the beginning, he's my same general manager now, has always been trying to take that stigma out of the car business. He's always telling me, take the pencil out of your ear. Now take the pencil out of your ear. You're not taking orders for cheesesteaks. You know what I mean? Take the pen out of your ear. Always smile when you're with a customer. Do this, follow up, and all that stuff kind of just ingrains into you. And you just start listening to your sales managers who've been there for a long time in the car business. I just kind of took their advice actually of what they said, and did a lot of follow up when I was younger. Kind of really grew the community before I even knew what that meant. You know what I mean? So being in the community, talking to insurance agents from back in the day that are still send me referrals over, and I try to reciprocate by, customer needs insurance. I say, hey, listen, I've been dealing with this guy for a long time. He's a good guy. He'll lead you in the right direction. Try to reciprocate referrals back to insurance agents, and that kind of metamorphosized into knowing a couple body shop owners, and not just the owners, but people that actually work in these body shops, not just our body shop, but body shops in the area. So somebody's car gets totaled or somebody's car gets wrecked and they get it fixed, it doesn't feel the same, go see Frank, trade it in, get another car. So you build relationships with these people where they're not sending you referrals because you're necessarily sending them something monetary. They're sending you referrals because they trust that you're not going to make them look bad sending somebody over. It's their name, so you always try to make that person look, good. Oh, great. Jimmy sent you over. Jimmy sends me a lot of people. Great guy, sends me a lot of business. We're going to make sure we take care of you, over and above what we would do for everybody else normally. Just make that customer feel endeared to the dealership.
It also expand your circle of trust, right? I did a similar thing
Oh,
in this. I offered all of my repeat clients to advertise their own business or whatever services they're offering at my desk. So when people waiting for numbers or stuff, they would go over all these people. They'd be like, "Oh, I know that guy. I know that guy." So now I'm the mutual point of them. I also
right.
noticed that you're offering free payments to your clients. You got a lot of prospects.
Yeah, that's something I started. That's something I started a couple of years ago. I started getting away from all the internet leads and everything because it just seemed like to me that it was kind of absurd. Kind of absurd that we're going through 100 leads a month I would get, and you would only close 12 to 15% of them. To me, that kind of seemed, the numbers just didn't work for me as far as the effort and the time that I was putting into, just go all the way down to the bottom and, get rid of a car, at dead price. So I kind of tried to figure out where was I going to get my own leads from, and I investigated all these sources of, companies that did bad credit and, pay so much for a lead. I thought about actually buying these leads for myself. And then the light bulb went on. I said, why am I going to buy leads when I could just get leads from the community? So, try to get your name out there as the dominant.
So let's talk about that, because in the beginning, everyone starts as a transactional salesperson. No salesperson starts the first day of their job thinking, hey man, if I really invest my time with each and every client, I'm going to build a great foundation and eventually I would stop taking up. So when did you become a relationship salesperson? When did you realize and how did you get from 10 cars to 20 cars, from 20 cars to 30 cars, from 30 cars to 40 cars, and eventually to 100 cars? Because I'm sure a lot of people are thinking about that, and some of the people that are selling cars that are part of this conversation right now are in the teens. They want to reach to 20, they want to reach to 30, they want to reach to 40, and 100 is really way outside of their comfort zone. How can you make it possible? Can you explain, how did you change your process from each and every milestone?
Well, the process that I'm out at now, I definitely changed all my processes to get to where I'm at. Um, to me, anymore test drives. Do I go on test drives with somebody? Absolutely. I'll go on a test drive. But to me, these customers, these are my customers 5, 6, 10 times over. We spend probably 10% of the time talking about the car or the deal. Everything else is more, hey, what are the Eagles doing? Hey, family, everything. So, for me, the process is shortened a lot because I don't have to break down that trust factor anymore. Everybody already implicitly trusts that, I'm going to give them the best deal. 90% everybody, I should say, already implicitly trusts. Some people you have to prove to them, and that's no big deal. I don't mind that. I always say trust but verify. So, I always have ad access, 100% of the time. You have your true car, you have everything. You can pull up all the information in the world, anymore. So, but most of the time, everybody just trusts you. And a lot of times, the deal's actually already done before they even come in. So, I know my buddy Dan's coming in tomorrow. So my buddy Jimmy's coming in tomorrow to pick up a car. Frank, you have anything Honda Accord, late model, low miles? Jimmy, I got the perfect car for you. White, leather, perfect. It's a good car. Yep, absolutely. I have it ready in the morning. Be there by 12 o'clock. Can you have me out of there by 100%? Come on in. I already have all his information. Hand it to the F&I guy. We already have all the stuff processed at this point. How did I get from 30 to 40 to 50? Sheer determination that I wasn't going to lose to anybody. And I probably worked way too many hours early in my career, bell to bell, almost every day. Just building, hammering everything as far as leads that you would get, just relentless follow up back in the day to kind of build that business and that trust. And just once you start building it, leases have definitely been a major player for me to get me from, say, 30 to the 45 to 50 mark back in the day. Probably I'd say probably about 7 or 8 years ago, when you start hitting 50 constantly. So that was turnover of leases. It's the third cycle of leases coming out. So you already know where the leases are. I could pull you ahead a couple months because, the pilots have equity and all that stuff. So I was doing all these equity programs before there ever was any equity programs that, told you Mr. Smith was in service tomorrow and he has a Honda Pilot and he only has 20,000 miles on it. I would go through and just estimate, what the trade-in value was. I'd be logging on to all these websites, Manheim or whatever, and trying to figure out everybody's car's worth if they have equity, pull you out. So when Mr. Smith came in for service the next day, I already knew he was coming in. Hey, Mr. Smith, how are you? Listen, I pulled up the new Pilot for you. Great news. I can pull you out of your car right now. It's not going to cost you a penny. We're going to be able to lower your payment, put you in a brand new car. Does it happen every time? No, but that was some of the ways that, I could build my own brand, pull my own customers forward out of their leases before the CRM ever did that, for you. So that was one of the things that really kind of leapfrogged me over the competition back then.
So I don't know if you know, but I sold cars. I started selling cars the same age as you did, 21, 22. I was selling
Yep.
cars, and I sold cars for about 7 years. I was able to sell about 3,000 cars and average
Awesome.
close to 40 cars a month. I worked 100% with repeats and referrals, so I'm the same type as you are, relationship salesperson.
Oh,
I started early in my career, but at
sure.
the end, when I reached that 40 car mark, I just couldn't do it by myself. My process always included very long delivery process. It always included 100% test drives, and my test drive was like 30 minutes. So I just didn't have the physical time to sell more than 5 cars. And
Understood.
I've asked the organization I worked for at that time, if I could get some help so I could,
Mhm.
serve more clients better, because my clients were just like yours, 6 or 7 deals before. Some of them don't need
Mhm.
the same process. Some of them don't need the same they all need the same type of attention, but they don't need to go
Sure.
through all the steps to the process. So I reached that moment where I just needed somebody to help me with the $10 jobs, somebody to help
Right.
me put me in a credit app, and I didn't get, I wasn't able to get that support for several different reasons.
Sure.
Regardless of what the reasons are, I couldn't have my own finance guy, and I couldn't have 2, 3 assistants. that could.
Well, I understand all those reasons that you probably don't want to repeat, and I totally understand 100% what those reasons may be or probably were, and I went through a lot of the same stuff. So, to me, you can only be as successful as A, the stress that you can handle in the business, and then B, you can't. I would never wait around for a finance guy. I hand him a deal, and they'd be busy booking out deals or whatnot. And, I'd see deals just sit in finance all day and, never get called in or get called in. And if it wasn't advantageous for the finance manager, then he might say, no, I can't get it approved, or we can't get it approved on this car, which would just make the process longer. And, I've kind of made it so that there is no the pressure that I put on the people that work with me, I should say, is that they're going to do their job 100%. So, I make sure that.
Right. So I had that conversation with my leader and my general manager, and I said, why can't people just do their job the way we do it? And he said, you can't expect that. So if I can't control that process, would you allow me to have an opportunity to control it? Either allow me to do cradle to the grave and just do A to Z, or allow me to work with my own people. So was that your solution? Did you start handling the entire process?
When I was probably at cars, 40 to 50 to, so that was, I would call deals into Honda myself. I got friendly with some of the bank reps. So, I could call them up and, say, hey, listen, we have a good Honda customer. I know they don't have the best credit in the world, but they've always been perfect with Honda, rather than waiting for, a sales manager who may be having a bad day, or a finance guy who's got too much pressure to be at a certain PVR or something like that. I don't take excuses from anybody for, my success or my failure. So, that all rests on me. So I'm not going to let the ball sit in somebody else's court if that's the way it's going to be. So, everybody's like, well, you should have your own dealership by now. Well, I basically do. I have Frank Crinite, Enterprises here, Team Frank, Frank's fans. I just work for the Piazzas, and they pay all the overhead, supply all the inventory for me, and support me with all the employees. I have no assistants. People don't believe it. They're like, "There's no way you can do it." I deliver 30 cars, and I feel like I'm going to die at the end of the month. Well, I've refined the process so much. I have kind of commandeered one finance guy that does probably 90% of my deals. And that really helps me streamline the process, because we know each other. We're like, Jordan Pippen. So I could just kind of lay it on him in like a short order cook. When I was in the restaurant business, this is what I need. I need a cheesesteak with, fried onions, hot peppers, and just hand him a slip, boom. And he cooks it up and gets it ready for me. You know what I mean? Rather than have to sit there and, go over this whole long process of he said, she said, this is where we need to be. I never understand the play-by-play that goes from a salesperson to the desk to the finance. We're all professionals. We just know what the end game is right from the beginning.
Yeah, it's such a waste of time, and it's
a waste of time.
Bad experience for every client to go over that. It doesn't suggest confidence. It doesn't suggest good customer service. Any of that.
And that's where you have to you have to come off as an expert in your field. You have to be an expert in your field. You got to have that that confidence that exudes to people that you can get the job done. You know the answers. You don't have to go check with somebody. I've been selling Hondas for 18 years. I have to go check with somebody on what the price of a Honda Accord LX 2018 is. Well, then I probably shouldn't be doing this. You know what I mean? If it comes down to something stupid, okay, let's really hash the numbers out and see, where we can push. But for 90% of the deals, I don't understand the whole back and forth, especially with all the information that's out there nowadays. The more time that you waste with people with the back and forth, they're just sitting there showrooming. I assume everybody but my mom is shopping me. We're sitting here having a conversation, and they're on the phone. They're checking everything that you're saying to them. Or they don't need the third baseman anymore. They have the third baseman with them 100% of the time. So if I'm not going to give you the information, somebody's going to, or you're going to get it yourself. So I might as well be able to give you all the information right up front. This way we can kind of speed through the process. A dealership's an intimidating place to be. So, you would think that I went car shopping with my wife about a year ago. She didn't want the new Honda Pilot when it came out. So we went around, we drove a bunch of cars. Acura, Mercedes, Escalade. And, I'm walking, I said, Kel, I said, just pretend like we're Mr. and Mrs. Crinite. Don't say I'm in the car business. Let's just go test drive cars. And car dealerships are an intimidating place to walk into. You're walking in, you got your Eagle stuff on, or I have a hat on, and I'm in, the Mercedes dealership. And I actually, at the time, had a $150,000 Mercedes parked outside. But, I'm walking into the dealership and nobody's coming up to talk to me. And I'm thinking, after a couple minutes, you're like, okay, what's wrong? Should I be asking for somebody to help me? And thoughts start going through your head. And then somebody comes up to you and asks you to help, and you defensively say, no, I'm just looking, man. It's no big deal, and you don't really see it until you do it yourself, how unfriendly even a beautiful multi-million dealership could feel to somebody who's been doing this 17 years at the time. So to me, I always try to make it a friendly experience, very exciting. You got to realize that even though I'm doing this 100 times a month, this person's only doing it once every, 3, 4, 7 years. You got to try to make it special for them, and also tell them that you're not going to waste their time, and, kind of explain to them the process as much as they need to know. Not everybody needs to know everything about the whole process to be able to get from coming in to leaving with the car. So a lot of the times you can speed them, through the whole process by not explaining every single step of the sales process, which I see a lot of salespeople do to their clients, to get you to that next level, because your time is your most valuable commodity basically in this business. It's your most valuable thing. The day's going to run out, and, you start talking to a couple people, and, the next thing you know is 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you didn't sell a car yet. And you don't even have a viable prospect you sold a car yet, but, you talked to a bunch of people and wasted your time because you didn't have the information, or, couldn't get the information from the client. Then, you're wasting your time with a lot of the processes.
I want to talk to you about that, about qualification process. But before we go there, little fun. What's your record for a single day? How many cars you sold in a single day? What's the most you've sold?
I think it was 20 on a Saturday.
20 on the same day.
20 on a Saturday, out of there by 7 o'clock.
You were out of there by 7?
Absolutely.
Experiencing no food, no water, but the ether is so strong. You're ready.
No, I brought a couple. I had a bottle of water at my desk. I have to stay hydrated. I tell myself that all day. Stay hydrated. Saturdays are big. Stay hydrated, and I always make sure I stop at our local convenience store and grab some power bars on the way in, just so I have something, so I don't have a chance not to eat. Because you start to get hangry, and you need to have calories in you and food in you if you're going to do 20, 25,000 steps a day.
Yeah, I used to drink green juice because it saves me so much time. I just keep it in the fridge, chug it, and then go back to the client 10 minutes. But so when you're selling 20 cars, and I've sold cars, all these people are selling cars every day. The biggest challenge is to understand, how do you find time to deliver all of them? How are all these people satisfied? So they give you 10s on the survey. What exactly is your qualification process?
You got to be the greatest waiter in the world. So not one waiter at a busy restaurant ever has one table for the most part, right? You go into one of these big steakhouses on a Saturday night, and your waiter doesn't matter how great the meal is, basically, if you have a bad waiter, could ruin your whole experience, right? So to me, if I don't just go to a restaurant for a restaurant, I go to a restaurant and ask for a specific waiter. I have Oscar at the Mexican place we go to. I have a couple of guys at steakhouse, or I only go into a certain place when a certain bartender is working, because I know what kind of level of service they're going to give to me and what I expect from them. So at the same point, when you're trying to deal with 5, 6, sometimes 7 customers at a time, you have to know where they're at in the process. So not everybody's eating their meal at the same time, right? Some people are coming in, they're just getting seated. Some people are getting through the appetizer. Some people are eating the steak, and they don't need the waiter hanging over them the whole time while they're doing that, but they need to stay busy. You need to keep food in front of them. So same thing when you're selling a car. Not everybody, after you sell the car, not everybody needs to hold their hand or sit there and have an hour conversation before they get into finance. That's one of the things that I kind of changed in my process I used to read through all the surveys, and not just my surveys. I would go through everybody's surveys to find out, what customers are really thinking. A lot of times they'd give you all tens or something on a survey, and then it'd say, the overwhelming, dominating thing would be, time to do the paperwork, time at the dealership. I said, man, this is what everybody wants. Nobody wants to be
You sell
at the
efficiency. You
dealership.
sell speed. You sell speed. You sell efficiency to these clients. Not
I sell efficiency. So you can't be speedy and skip the important stuff. You know what I mean? You have to sell the sizzle. So the sizzle has to be there, for the client. Some people don't need the sizzle. They just, it's not a car buying experience for them. So all 100 people, it's not, hey, great, I'm getting a new car. This is awesome, unbelievable. Some people, a car is a tool, right? So those people, you can just speed through the process. All right, Mr. Jones, I already know you need a 36-month, 10,000-mile a year lease. I already had the black one washed up, ready to go. Like I already know that 5 or 6 people coming in tomorrow, they're 100% buying cars. Most of them I already have picked out the color for them. All I have to do is evaluate their trade when they come in and just crunch down the numbers. For the most part, they have a good estimate of what the numbers are going to be, because I like to give that to everybody so there's no surprise. So, hey, your payment ranges, depending on your trade-in, anywhere from 310 to 330. So, we're doing virtual appraisals over the phone, or, getting that information way ahead of time. And salespeople are like, how do you do that? Well, what do you mean, how do we do that? If you don't give, a customer right now can log on to Kelley Blue Book app or CarSense app or anything and find out exactly what their car is worth, as long as they're honest with the app, print out a voucher and go get that money. So us as salespeople, being in the business this long, if a customer could do that on an app, we can't do it. Why do they need us? You know what I mean? So you need to make yourself invaluable right now, because the car business is changing. I can sense it. I do see it. So if you don't stand out and actually have a valuable asset that people need, they're not going to need you. So to me, everything's about customer service, the whole process being very quick, being able to give you all the information over text message. My day off today, I'll probably talk to 20 clients and maybe take one phone call. Mostly everything on my day off is going to be text message, instant messenger. If they call to leave a message, I'll shoot them a text. Hey, listen, with my family, something I can help you with today, blah, blah, blah. And, just kind of go through it on text message. So to get me on the phone is virtually impossible most days. But if you shoot me a text message, we could be sitting here doing this interview right now, and I could be texting you, right now, as the ninja that I am, texting that, what's going on, and actually close a deal in the middle of actually closing a deal or talking about closing deals. So text message and technology has been something that I've been using way before anybody would ever think about using text message. I used to take pictures of the used cars that people would send a lead in, on cars.com the day that it would post up, and there'd be no picture, because back then the dealership actually would take its own pictures. We didn't have these companies come out, or, one designated guy. So it used to be salespeople or the sales manager, whenever you wanted to get around to it, that actually wait till the car's detailed, go take pictures of it. But it'll be a stock photo, online, cars.com. And the lead would come in, and, people would ask, about the car. I'd be, great, I have your cell phone number, give me 2 seconds. I'd take pictures of the car. I'd send them everything, send them the price, all the options, send it over to them. So kind of distinguishing myself, 8 years ago, before they had all this technology of, having that stuff. The day I got my iPhone was probably the greatest day, of my life. 10 years ago, basically, I'm like, man, this thing is unbelievable. Everything that it can do at the palm of my hands. And I'm not very technically savvy. I could talk my way through a lot of stuff, but I'm not some big tech guy. But, with an Apple product in my hand back then, I thought I was, king of the world. I could dominate everything, and I did.
So I started taking video testimonials from people in 2007, 2008, and no one was doing it back then with my peers, And when I had a Samsung phone, and they used to die when you're at like 18%, 20%. So I replaced it with iPhone, just because of the reliability factor, and because I needed to get these testimonials. For me, that was more important than actually selling the car. And
Right.
And I started doing the same thing, sending people videos with cars and things like that, because it made it real. It creates a real urgency. It's just a much better way to communicate.
So just to continue on that, the whole metamorphosis of online right now is to all these online review sites and having your name out there every time you go in the Piazza, Honda, Springfield, or pull up any of these hashtags of, Piazza Honda, or reviews on any of our websites, Facebook, Yelp. Well, Yelp's pretty tough, but Facebook, Google, Dealer Rater, Cars.com. My name's going to be in there a billion times, And some of these salespeople, I guess other salespeople they may get discouraged or something like that, and they stop doing reviews, or they just get lazy and stop doing reviews. And all that does is feed me more. I'm like, man, I could just dominate this website 100%. So when somebody logs on, it's just Frank Crinite, Frank Crinite. Man, we got to call this guy, see what's going on. And I probably sell 10% of my cars every month from just fresh. Hey, we've seen your name on, but most of my business is all Frank. So and so referred me. This is my situation, and it's more being a psychiatrist, psychologist anymore with everybody, almost problem solving, than it actually is, selling them a car. Basically, that's kind of the last resort, is trying to sell them a car in this whole thing.
So let's talk about that type of customer. Someone who saw your review, or someone who was sent by someone, they've never met you before, the referral, first time buyer from you. What do you usually do to qualify them? What's your process right off the bat? What are the important questions that you ask every client?
I listen.
Okay.
I sit there and I actually listen. So, I'll let them talk more than I talk for the first couple minutes, and kind of just, ask them. And they'll, for the most part, will just give you all the information right up front. Hey, I have a car that I know I owe more than what it's worth on. I need to lower my payment. My credit's not so good. I need a good, reliable, pre-owned car for my daughter who's going to college, or, I need to be in this payment range or something like that. If you start asking prodding questions, a lot of times people will get defensive, and, first thing that half the salespeople that ask me when I went in the dealership, well, what kind of payment can you afford? I don't need a payment. You know what I mean? I just need you to show my wife a car, So to me, they didn't even listen to me. They didn't ask me the right questions. They just started asking me, these stupid questions. What can you afford? Or what do you want your payment to be? I don't know, $1. Like stupid stuff.
When they ask me, what do you want to spend? I tell them,
I don't know. You haven't showed me any value yet. I have no idea what I want to spend.
When they ask me, how much do you want to spend today? And I say anywhere between 0 and 100,000.
Right. No idea. Show me something.
I want.
Show me the sizzle. Yep, that's it.
So,
no idea.
Is there a specific group of questions that you must ask everyone just for your own speed, just so you could be more efficient, or every?
No, so it's crazy. Like I'm not a big prep person. So I used to go to the desk and they give me the numbers, and I'd say, well, what are you going to say? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm just going to go over and start talking. I don't need the whole script thing. So, early in my career, yeah, I did what a lot of, good salespeople did. You listen to, Grant Cardone. I mean, you read a couple books. I mean, I lived on my Grant Cardone CDs. They were in my car up until probably just a few years ago. I would listen to those, Ben Franklin closes and, everything, just to kind of keep me fresh and sharp, just to not forget stuff. But, at this point in my career, there's really not a, hey, this is what I got to do, or this is what I got to say. It's more, I'm already 3 steps ahead when somebody's giving me a situation, because I've already been in that situation a billion times already. We've already been through it. So kind of just listen, talking people through the situation. And a lot of time it's either just a math problem with some people that we have to figure out, or really just being a psychiatrist, psychologist is really what it's really all about. Kind of, helping people through the process of, okay, this is why your payment is this. This is, where we're at with the credit, or this is why you need to lease a car rather than buy a car, or vice versa. But to me, there's no magic pill. There is no magic saying, you know what I mean?
I love Greg Cardone and Joe Vaughn. I've learned a lot from them. But you touched on a great point. I believe that all of them are teaching salespeople how to do transactional selling. Once when you move into the relationship business, your process doesn't matter anymore because it's not about the car, it's not about the price, it's not about the level of the matter, it's about the people, and they buy you, they don't buy the car. So the
Right.
investment for that relationship, just like you're buying Oscar at the Mexican place every night, and Oscar doesn't have to do much, but just that extra touch makes you feel that you're
Right.
taken care of, and that makes you feel, hey, I'm someone in the community that people respect and love, and that's why I pay Oscar more because he takes
Right.
care of it. And that's how people
100%.
feel when they're buying a car from you when you're selling through relationships. So all of these guys are fantastic, and I actually reached out to them individually to find out how to build my business based on relationships. And I
Right.
really couldn't get a great advice, you know, on how to do that. They're very great at offering objections, how to overcome objections, how to get
Right.
techniques on down payments and stuff like that. But usually your people are convinced in your reputation, and they just come and tell you the truth right off the bat in the first 2 minutes. And they want to save you time. They want to save their set time. So,
Facebook helps out a lot with that because, you know, people actually feel like you're friends, and I actually feel like I'm their friends. You know what I mean? Even though we've never actually sat down and had a meal together or whatnot, but you know, I can see them, their kids growing up on Facebook just from being friends with them. You know, we interact over conversation, you know, on Facebook. So, you know, it's kind of a running joke. But when I go to the desk sometimes to get numbers, and I come in and I'm like, hey, one of my boys is here. They're like, yeah, one of your boys. You know, you got another boy here. I'm like, listen, they're my friends. I got a lot of friends. What am I
yes,
going to say? You know, people like me. I don't know. I got a lot of friends. I like people, and people like me. They are my boys. I feel like they're, you know, so I have to kind of distinguish between this is one of my boys or just one of my boys. You know what I mean? Type thing. So, but that Facebook social media has really endeared customers more to being family, to being friends, rather than just, you know, the black and white relationship of, hey, you're just my customer, and hey, you're just my salesperson. You know, um, it's helped me definitely take it to the next level.
yeah. So working with different salespeople at different dealerships and being one myself, I realized that there are a few things about top producers like you and other top producers that you can't really teach. And people that reach that level truly are born with that. And one of them is the desire to be the best. What you shared in the
Right,
beginning is that one of the driving forces to get you to 30, 40, 50, 60 was you would just not
right.
take second place. And the other
Mm,
thing is just your pure passion for people. I, just
right,
like you, came from the restaurant industry, and if
right,
people don't feel that connection with you, if you're not truly a people's person, they just don't tip you well,
right,
and you don't stay in that restaurant business. So I was selling at the restaurant, and I always had like the biggest tips and the biggest sales every night because I
yeah,
connected with the same people. So then when I moved to the
yeah,
main business, I was like, wow, I just have to apply the same skill, same type of relationship, but the money is so much more. The
right,
reward is so much more, and the snowball effect is amazing.
right.
So it's definitely the best opportunity. I want to give a chance to our listeners and the members of that secret coaching group in the 90-day challenge to ask you some questions, if you don't
Sure,
mind.
sure.
Uh, one of them, who wants to go first?
I got a question for you.
Okay.
How you doing?
Frank? Hi, I'm Corey.
Hey, what's going on, man?
First thing, appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Second thing, good luck this weekend.
Good luck to you, my friend. The torch is getting passed. The old
Yeah,
going
yeah.
down.
My question for you is, out of the 100 you sell, you said about 10 of them might be from people seeing your reviews coming in. Can you give me a breakdown sort of what your other 90 are? You know, how many are repeats, how many referrals, how many are service, if you don't mind?
Well, a lot of people don't believe the fact that half of my cars are actually pre-owned cars. Pre-owned certified or pre-owned other brand vehicles. And the reason that I'm able to do that is because of the trust factor and the relationship, you know, that I've built with my customers. You know, a lot of times back in the day, it would take me forever to sell a used car because you have to go through, you know, making sure the car is a good car, making sure the Carfax, going through everything. So to me anymore, again, people will call me and it's just, text me or, reach out to me over social media. And it's more just, hey, this is my situation. Can you tell me something that actually fits? And, I'm able to, from my experience, just actually fit, a car into that situation for them, send them over a couple options, virtually before they ever come into the dealership, give them all the information, the certification, everything we did through service, all ahead of time if they want that stuff. So a lot of my business comes from pre-owned cars. Probably the other, I'd say probably 30% of my business, 30 to 35%, depending on which month it is leasing. Leasing is a great way to build your brand, build your book of business, to keep just getting that referral. So, when I was first starting out and learning, when I first mastered how to explain, a lease to customers that, people that have never leased before, they'd be the fear of the unknown. They hear all these horror stories of family members that, get crushed at the end of the lease, or why would I rent a car? And once you explain that, a car is depreciating every month, and, get to teach them how that you're taking your equity up front by doing a lower payment every single month. Your payment's $100 lower a month over 3 years. You saved yourself $3,600. That is your equity. You took your equity up front rather than gambling, in 3.5, 4 years when you actually come trade this car in, that you may actually have that equity and you get to keep them in a brand new car the entire time, no major maintenances. So once I became able to master leasing a car, leasing process, that was one of my focuses for years and years and years, is to just be able to keep that lease train rolling, because you already know every month I can forecast, hey, I got 15 people coming out of leases this month. I already know that I'm going to be able to capture 13 of them. And actually, I shouldn't say that next month, because a lot of salespeople, I see them, they'll call their lease customers. Their lease is due in, like, say, April, and they'll call tomorrow. And hey, Mrs. Smith, I know your lease is come. Oh, I already turned that car in. I got a car. So years before, a decade ago, before there was ever all these dealership customer data mining tools and everything, I would go through and find out all the customers who were coming off lease, find the orphan leases, calling them, introducing myself to try to get them, to say hi when they were in service or something like that. But leasing has been, not to drag it on, but leasing has been one of the tools that'll get you to the next level. So if somebody's trying to, break out of that 25 car rut, to get to the next level, then, leasing is definitely a way for long term that you want to be able to insulate your success month after month, because you can forecast how many leases, if you really get good at it, that you're actually going to get back from what's out there in your pool of customers at that point. So, 30% comes from that, 40% is probably pre-owned cars, which is all repeat referral business. I won't not take a double negative there, but I won't not take a new customer. Some people say, hey, you probably just work on, repeat and referral customers. Yeah, for the most part, but, if I say hi to Mrs. Smith and she's walking around the showroom, most of the time I'll go try to grab another salesperson, because I don't necessarily want to get tied up with somebody that I don't know where they're at in the buying process, because that could take up a lot of my time in the day. But I actually have a lot more time in my day than people would actually think. So I'm selling 100 cars, and I actually, believe it or not, think that I underperformed last year. I did a self-evaluation. I know it's crazy, and it's not me being cocky, and it's not me being conceited. I've actually I spent way too much time sitting around BSing in the sales office, and just kind of maybe playing on Facebook, when I told myself that I was actually marketing on Facebook. And not everything has to be you're working 100% of the time. You'll burn out quicker than anything. There has to be the happy medium of 10% of your day is just BS with everybody else that's there, and but you can't have that be a majority of the day. And towards the end of the last year, I think that I kind of actually slacked off. I put it on cruise control a little bit towards the end of last year, and I caught myself. And this year, I promised myself that wasn't going to happen. So I'm again fully focused on what I'm going to do. And yeah, I did sell 1,200 cars last year, but I actually think that I probably lost 8 to 10%. I could have probably did a lot better with not much more effort than what I put in.
Better numbers this year already, right?
That's right, man. You got to keep the pedal to the metal, but you can't be a one-trick pony. You can't be the guy that's just going to work on referrals, repeat business. I still walk through service. I still sit down and talk to people who have cars over in service. Still out there marketing to myself. Still trying to pick up new clientele to really grow that book of business, to get that snowball, more snow from every area just going down the hill. You don't want to just become the guy that's been there 18 years and you're selling 17 cars, 18 cars, and you're making X number of dollars and you're comfortable. That's the worst word I've ever experienced in my life, is comfort. I hate it. If I ever get comfortable, I want to get out of this business because it's not what I want to do. So, somebody asked me, how many cars could you sell if you didn't, do Facebook and everything? And I actually think I can comfortably just sit back and, myself probably sell 70 cars just sitting around doing minimal anymore. And that isn't what I would want to do. So if that ever came to that, for me, I'd probably figure something else out to do, because that's not how I want to be. The money means nothing to me. Everybody's like, man, you're probably making so much money and everything. And sure, I make probably a pretty decent wage. I don't even know how much I'm making, to be honest with you, because all the money is to me is a byproduct of my success. So, it really, tomorrow when, or Sunday when, the Day of Jai is going to be, running the ball all over the New England defense, a 20-yard run from the red zone, just in the red zone. He's not thinking about how much more money he's going to be thinking about winning the prize. His eyes are on the prize. Nick Foles' eyes are on the prize. He's not worried about, man, who's going to pick me up a year from now when my contract's done. If he is, he's dead in the water, right? So he's got to have his eye into the game the whole time. So you got to be focused on the game, not the contract, not the byproduct of what your success is. So I see a lot of people in all these chat groups and everything, and you always want to know, how much money you're making, how much is this person making, what does it matter? Your drive should have nothing to do with the money you make. Once you start to get to that level, the money will just come with your success, and money is very important. I don't mind having a conversation with money with anybody, you know what I mean? That doesn't bother me at all. But to actually be your driving force every day, to me, doesn't work, because I don't even know what my paychecks are. I don't look at them. I don't check them. I have no idea.
You will get burned if you just focus on the money. I remember when I started my career, for me, my first 6 months, the number one goal that I had was to be the top of the board. And we had the direct deposit set up, and I used to make about $2,000 at the restaurant because I was a good waiter. That's good waiter money back in the day. And they when I started selling, they guaranteed me $2,000. So I already knew I'm making more than the restaurant, and I never even checked. They direct deposited the money, and 6 months when I finally became, it took me 6 months to finally become top salesman of the month. And I looked back into my account and I noticed that I saved $40,000. This was the most amount of money I've ever had in my entire life. And I never even looked at it, because to me, number one thing was to be the top of the board. It wasn't so much the money. And that's a phenomenal point that you're bringing. I love what you said about the lease, because obviously most salespeople talk about the advantages on the lease, how you have 3 options at the end, and you could either sell it, get out of it, or trade it in. So that part about the equity was very interesting, because now they understand that they're not losing any money. Would you be kind enough just to repeat that line for everyone to learn how to use it?
So Mr. Smith comes in and buys a car from me every 4 years, right? So Mr. Smith likes to buy, he wants to feel like he actually owns the car. And you just got to explain to Mr. Smith that, Mr. Smith, okay, so we did a 60-month loan. Your payment was $450 a month. You've had your car for 3.5 years. You do this. This is the second or third time that you've done this. So, I like to get a new car every, 3 or 4 years, Frank. So, when the warranty runs out or he starts to get close to maintenance, I usually just trade him in. Great. So to explain to Mr. Smith why he doesn't want to buy that car. Mr. Smith likes his equity. So, at the end of 3.5, 4 years with a Honda, and you paid 60 months at a low interest rate, and, you probably have $3,000, $4,000 worth of equity. But you gambled for those 3 or 4 years that you were going to have that equity at the end, and you also paid a higher payment every single month just to maybe have that equity. So what I would do is I would actually write out on a piece of paper, still do it, explain to people sometimes that haven't leased before or just don't understand it, just a very simple explanation of all leasing is taking your equity up front. So instead of paying a $450 payment every single month to own that new Honda Accord that you love to get when the new models come out every 4 years, all you do is lease the car for $300 a month. Don't put any money down or very minimum money. Your payment's $100 to $150 less a month, and that's how I equate if a lease is really a great deal. And I'll explain that to people is, if I can get your payment $100 less a month from a 60 month buy to a 36-month lease, I think it's a very aggressive leasing program, and I feel like that's where we should focus our attention. And then you explain to them that over 36 months, just say $100 a month, you saved yourself $3,600. So all you're really doing is taking your equity up front rather than giving it to the bank and gambling that you may have equity when you come to trade your car in, because most people don't walk into the dealership with their title. Most people, like yourself, Mr. Smith, they have a payoff on the car. So all I'm really trying to do is keep your monthly budget lower, and it's really the same thing. Well, I've heard a lot of horror stories of, and Honda's, not every leasing company is the same, but Honda's real easy. They have one of the highest retention rates of customers in the business. So with a Honda, they have a lot of waiver of damages at the end, $500 or $1,000 if you get a new Honda, waive your disposition fee. And they just recently started a disposition fee. They never had it before. It's $350, so nothing crazy. And it sets them up for exclusive deals from Honda. Mr. Smith, 6 months away from your lease being up, Honda has exclusive deals just for you. Waive your last 6 months payments, an extra $500 towards your new car. So I'll be able to hook you up even more once you get into this, this leasing group, leasing country club, that we're going to have. You don't have to get into major maintenances. You don't have to get into, a lot of stuff. So being able to explain to people in layman's terms how it actually benefits them is really what you want to try to master, because sometimes as salespeople, we use lingo that you think customers understand and they don't, but they're too embarrassed or just yes you to death. And then they just feel awkward and end up leaving. So you got to be able to figure out how to explain something to somebody that they understand it and can actually take the knowledge that you have and be able to apply it to their life, rather than just be able to sit here and spew out a lot of information and people don't understand, anything that you said or can't get the value out of anything you said. So to me, being able to explain a lease and taking your equity up front rather than gambling that you would have equity at the end of a purchase took a lot of the anxiety out of leasing for people, rather than thinking they're just renting a car, which they are. So Mr. Smith, my accounting always tells me to, buy things that appreciate and, lease or rent things that depreciate. And this is definitely something that's going to depreciate. And the good thing with Honda is at the end of your lease, your car, they say the car value is, on the Honda Pilot's $22,000. Well, the greatest thing is about these Honda Pilots is most of the time towards the end of the lease, if you keep the miles where they're supposed to be, the market on these cars is actually closer to 24 or 25,000. So not only will you be able to, reap the rewards of the lower payment now, I'll be able to reap the rewards of trading your car in for you, being able to apply that equity towards a new vehicle of your choice, and maybe even lower your payment more at that point. So you're taking the gamble out of it, and you're still getting the benefit of being able to trade your car and knowing what the actual value that the manufacturer thinks it's worth in 3 years. But you actually have to be able to show somebody that and how it works for the first time for them to be able to do it. And now, I'm on a cycle of leases with people that, you're able to pull them out of a Pilot, an Odyssey. Not every car is going to work like that. Not every car holds its value, more than what the residual is. But, the customers that you can, keep that rolling. Once you explain it to them once and it works for them once, man, they're in. You got them. They're yours. They're yours forever. as long as you can keep up with, being able to explain that to them and help them out and, get them to where they're at. Also with a lease, you always want to calm everybody's fears about, the mileage too. So always try to set everybody up for success. Don't give them a payment of 10,000 miles a year if they're really not doing 10,000 miles a year. So, 12, 15. And then, I always explain to everybody, make sure you call me, keep me in the loop with your miles. Before we had all these CRMs and data mining tools that told me where your miles were, every time you get the car inspected or registered or everything. But, if you're at month, 25 and you're already at 30,000 miles, make sure you call me. Let me know. Maybe this month I can't get you out of that lease. It's not a good time because I don't have a special, but maybe next month is, so I'll be able to pull you ahead. So let's keep in contact. It's another way that, you keep somebody endeared to you and, actually care about the process, just not sell them a car and never see them again. That's something I never want. You know what I mean? I don't want to sell 100 cars and never see those customers again. I feel like I wasted my time and I wasted their time. That's not what I'm here for.
So a couple of takeaways that I got from you is, number one, you want to explain to people just like you're explaining to kids, just like you're explaining to a 6-year-old, so they can understand you. And great salespeople are great communicators. So if we're able to educate our buyers, then they trust us more, and then we have more control over the timing on when they're going to buy. Because a lot of the people that you educate on the lease, then you can proactively call them and tell them now is the right time to pull the trigger. Now is the time to trade the car. So now you can force opportunities instead of just ask.
Right.
And because
it's like if you can't be the guy who cried wolf either, you know what I mean? So a lot of my customers, I've actually stopped my dealership from sending all these blanket emails of, hey, the new Accord's out, come on in and see it. You know what I mean? So, somebody comes in, they're only, 20 months into a 36-month lease and they want the new Accord because, the dealership sent them that, but, to get them out of their lease is going to be, $150 more a month. Will some people do it? Sure. Will most people do it? No. So you don't want to cry wolf to customers either. You know what I mean? So to me, my customers know, if they get an email from the dealership and it has my name on it, most of the time I'm not emailing anybody. So, I tell them when you get a text message from me or an instant message or I call you, it's real. You know what I mean? So a lot of the stuff you're going to see in the car business is the way that dealership advertises. Still, that's not always the best thing is for you. They're just, they're fishing, and I don't want to fish. I want to, shoot fish in a barrel. I want to make sure that it's the right thing for you. I don't want to sit there with my rod in the water all day and hopefully a fish comes and bites my line. I want to go to, the seafood store and just tell them I want, 10 pounds of lobster tails and walk out with it basically. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure that I'm not just wasting my time or more importantly, wasting the customer's time, because the more times you waste somebody's time, you lose your validity, and I see the same couple customers that, salespeople invite them in and, try to sell them on a car and, raise their payment $100, $150 a month, and they end up leaving and you don't see them back. Rather than, if you don't waste that person's time and just explain to them it's not the right time yet, just wait a little bit and we'll be able to hook you up. You gotta have that swag about you to be able to tell somebody that they're going to believe you, confidence, and they have to have confidence in you. But most of my clientele, most of my friends, my boys, my family, they trust that I'm going to do the best thing for them at the right time.
So you control a lot of the customers when they buy because they trust you. And I had the same experience with a lot of my repeat buyers. They waited for my call, and I could have set up an appointment for that week that I called with them. They always trusted me that now is the time, because everything I asked, everything I offered them, I delivered. And everything I promised them over the phone was exactly the way I promised them. I never tried to bump them or offer them something that they don't qualify. Come on, guys, let's add some more questions because we're running out of time. So please go ahead and ask Frank any more questions. He's a very busy man. He's 1 hour of his time.
Yeah, I'm decorating my basement for the big Super Bowl party.
Oh man, I saw your pictures from the TV. That was awesome. You're getting attention.
On the news.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, go ahead, guys. Ask Frank some questions. I know Deanne had a customer that walked in and asked for. He was comparing Subaru and Honda, and he really needed an all-wheel drive, but he ended up going to Honda. So she wanted to ask what would be your opinion on customers like that. And I'm sure we have some more questions from everyone. Do you usually run into clients that are shopping around and they're in the initial stage, or normally you avoid these clients that don't know who you are?
We make clients shoppers.
That's
By
right.
asking stupid questions. I see salespeople, and I've done it myself. We ask very stupid questions to people that actually turn them into shoppers. So my whole mindset is, you're in my store, you're here to buy a car. So, yeah, some people's natural defense are, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at that. I had a lady come in yesterday. She was waiting for the new Subaru, whatever their big 3-row SUV that was coming out, and she had 6 months left on her Sienna lease, and they were 100% just in to drive the car. It was like her third time, just coming in and drive the car. And no big deal. Take the car. Here's the tag. Take it out. Make sure you like it. Take it on the highway. Enjoy it, type thing. And I was able to actually get down to, it was all just a payment issue. She loved the Honda, but natural defense mechanism is, I'm shopping. I don't want to buy a car, and I just don't hear that. You know what I mean? It kind of goes through, and I just keep, going through my whole process, building value in the brand, building value in our dealership. She's done business here with us on her husband on a car before. They like doing business with me. She sent me probably 4 or 5 customers from a website that's a mainline parenting website that has 35,000 people into it, and she's one of the administrators. So anytime anybody asks for a car, my name gets tagged in that website, Facebook site 50 times on there. One of the reasons is because she bought a car for me, so I just go through the whole process of, showing her the car again, doing a full demonstration presentation on that customer, because she really needed it. She really needed to know why the Odyssey at that point was going to be better for her than what a Subaru SUV is. And, she told me she had some friends and family pricing discount with Subaru that I tried to explain through to her that wasn't going to apply to a new model that just came. She goes, well, you're right, because I talked to the sales manager over there, and he said that he wouldn't even be able to get one for himself for the first 6 months. So you kind of almost let them answer their own questions as far as why they don't need the other brand, why you're selling your brand, because you don't want to talk bad about somebody's brand or point out the bad points about something, because that to me just totally turns me off. So, but for the most part with me, I've noticed a lot less cross-brand shopping. Like, when I first started, it was always Honda, Toyota. You had to know everything in the world about a Toyota and why a Honda was better, everything else. But anymore, people know more about the cars than I do. They're laying on their iPad all night studying every nuance of the brand new Honda Accord that came out. They know every feature and every setting because they can watch all the YouTube videos and go onto all these websites. So they've been looking at a car probably for days, if not weeks, if not months, before they ever come in. You just need to lay out the roadmap for them, why it's actually the best thing for them. Some people it's price, some people it's, space, or what's best for their family. So you just got to find the hot button. You're not going to win every battle. I don't win every battle. I win most of them, but I don't win every battle. And it doesn't have to be a battle. It's more just being able to take the information that the customer is giving you, being able to overcome the objections, and you do it not by arguing with people. You do it with sense. Lay it out, either payment, or you tell me you need more space, but you're looking at an SUV. Let me pull up a Pilot and show you the space that's in the one that has the most space in its class, or the one that you're waiting for, and why it's actually not going to work for you. So cross brand with me anymore is very minimal. So that helps me out in my process. Where I'm at right now in my sales career may not necessarily apply to everybody that's selling 20 cars, 30 cars a month. But at the same point, a lot of stuff people don't need the full process that your sales managers have been preaching to you since the 80s, as they were doing it, because that's the way they know how to do it. So it's no fault of their own, but that's just the process that they know. So that's the process that they were successful at. That's the process that they think that is going to breed success. And will that work for, 20% of people? Absolutely. But I'd rather be trying to figure out what's going to work for 80, 90, 100% of the people in a more efficient manner. So to me, explaining every nuance of every car anymore, you don't need to do it. Most people already know all the nuances of the car. You got to get them emotionally attached, touch it, feel it, smell it, drive it. They're in a showroom. They've been looking at virtual for weeks online. You got to get them in the car, feel the car, drive the car, take the car out for a drive. If it's a new customer to you, they're shopping different brands. So you really got to get them emotionally and physically connected to that vehicle, and that's what it was for that customer yesterday. I went over all the safety, the features with the car. That's where you want to put your family in. Car's going to stop for you. It's going to steer for you. High tensile steel, #1 crash test rating. Look at the easy to seats, get your family in and out of the vehicle. So you got to hit all the hot buttons for the right customer. I don't need to tell her that it's the fastest minivan from 0 to 60. I don't need to pop the hood necessarily to, show her the new Earth Dreams engine that's in the vehicle. You know what I mean? So I see salespeople doing this, full presentation of every feature on the car, and the customers just sitting there rolling their eyes. They don't need that. They already know everything they need to know about the car. For the most part, they need somebody to hold their hand through the process, or not necessarily push them through the process, but sometimes I need to be pushed. I'll go in to buy something, and sometimes I won't be ready to buy it, I don't think, or I'll want to buy it, but I just need somebody to kind of gently give me the nudge, but not pressure me. So it's a happy balance. It's a very very majestic place that you have to find with a customer to be able to do it. Fine line, I should say.
All right. Any more questions? Ryan, Shastina, go ahead. Anyone has a question?
I don't have any questions yet.
Ryan,
Just
Ryan.
listening in.
Roberto. Malik, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I got one question just for Mr. Frank. I'm a new salesman. Can you describe maybe like your first 2 or 3 months in the sales business, just so I can see, an average?
Nervous as hell to go up and talk to people, man. First month or so, I was always, self-conscious a little bit back then. Now there's no nerves now at all. I mean, you're just being you. But I still remember, man, I got to go up and talk to these people. And then, after the first month or so of doing it, you just kind of break out of that shell. I kind of just broke out of the shell of nervousness. I wanted to get out there and shake as many people's hands as I can. When I first started, my floor was really, really competitive, man. I had guys that had been in the business, and they were grinders, and they were grabbing people out of their cars, and right as soon as they pulled in, and I'm like, man, it's sink or swim here. So and I actually had one of the best guys there. He actually showed me through the business. I mean, he actually took the time, showed me really what to do. He was very, very slick person, very sly. Everybody wanted to talk to him. Dressed real nice, and full presentation, demonstration. And that's what you did back then. He gave me his whole spiel of everything, and kind of listen to him, and not necessarily took just everything that he did that I liked, but also kind of learned after years of listening to it of things that I didn't like, and mistakes that this guy who at the time was a top guy, which I ended up being after the second month at the dealership. But one of the things that I used to hear a lot of the older salespeople or a lot of the veterans use is, they get out of the car after a test drive, pull up, they get out, and the first thing they would ask anybody is, did you like the car? What did you like about the car? And, like, you're putting people on the spot. Like, they got to come up with an answer. What did I like? I don't know. I like to drive. So my whole thing is, well, why are they asking that question? So I just flipped the whole script and, go through the whole test drive and, pull it up, put it in park. And the first thing I would ask as soon as they put the car in park is, Mr. Smith, anything you didn't like about the car? And that to me was the ultimate qualifier, because if I ask you, is there anything you didn't like about the car? and you tell me no, ride was perfect, everything was great, I know we're on the right car. I know we're on the right vehicle. Too many times early in my career, I spent too much time trying to sell people the car that I thought that they wanted or the car that they drove. So by being able to ask somebody at the end of the test drive, anything you didn't like about the car, well, I don't think the size is right. Okay, great. Now I know we were in a Honda Civic. Let me go pull up a Honda, take that for a ride. So I know I'm not bringing somebody into the showroom and sitting down and back then trying to negotiate on a car that no matter what the price was, they didn't want anyway, but they were too nervous or didn't want to offend me or didn't want to think that they wasted my time. So they actually sat through the process of going over numbers and stuff.
To a lumber camp or ice to an Eskimo.
So at the end of the test drive, anything you didn't like about the car, that'll help you out a lot because, like I said, so either they say no, and that's great. Come on in. Let's show you how easy it is to do business here. If you're a new person, maybe they've never done business with you before. So come on in. Let's show you how easy it is to do business. Would you like something hot or cold to drink? Do you have a seat? I'll be right back with all the information here for you. And bring out all the information for them. But that's one of the, if you want to call it lines, that would actually really help a new salesperson. Never ask somebody what they liked about the car. That doesn't matter. What didn't they like about the car? Will tell you so much more and be able to get you through the process and make sure you're on the right vehicle rather than wasting a lot of time of your own or the customer's time, which that's all they don't want to do is waste time.
Thank you, Frank. That was awesome. Couple more questions, please. Sean, I know you had a question.
Frank, I want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day here on your off day.
Hey, no worries.
Question I have for you. Do you have any assistants helping you sell 100 cars a month? And what I mean by that is there anybody doing your paperwork, credit applications, or any of that kind of stuff on a daily basis?
Credit applications mostly are done virtually. I have an app. I copy and paste the URL right off my website and actually send it to customers way beforehand. Who wants to sit in the dealership and fill out credit? So credit's mostly done before people come into the dealership for the most part, if they're a previous customer of mine, which most of my business is previous customers or referrals. So referral will actually tell me, hey, I have a credit issue or something like that. Mr. Smith referred me to you because he had the same issues and said you'd be able to help me. Great. I'm going to send you a link with credit application on it. Back in the day, I'd fax credit applications over to people. I'd be out with friends at a bar and I'd take credit applications, on a napkin, back then, and bring it into the dealership the next day and, be able to get somebody approved. But a lot of stuff to me to be able to get to 100 cars, do I have any assistance? I have absolutely zero hired assistants. We do have 151 employees at my dealership, and I empower every single one of them to do their job. That's what we're here for. It's not all about Frank Crinite. It's about Piazza Honda. And I have a guy or two or woman or so over in service that I trust implicitly. So I don't have to hold everybody's hand through everything in the process. So got a problem, you're getting an accessory installed, something after the sale. I always want to be part of it, but I don't have to be the whole part of it. So I can defer a lot of that off to, a certain service writer. I do have one finance guy that does most of my stuff, and he is super efficient as far as making sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. He's one of the keys to me being able to get to where I'm at. Now, if I've used up until probably a year ago every F&I guy, but it just got to the level and paperwork and, that me being able just to commandeer one F&I guy that I trust implicitly with being able to work at the same level I can has really helped me out. Now on a Saturday tomorrow, I may break my record tomorrow. I have 1 billion people coming in for Saturday tomorrow. My phone's been blowing up like crazy. I think it's the Eagles going to win the Super Bowl.
Eagles, baby.
The Eagles, baby. And everybody's in Philadelphia right now. So tomorrow I have lot guys that are going to be able to pull up cars. Am I running around the lot grabbing cars all day on a Saturday? Absolutely not. I have 2-3 lot guys there that I can take control of anytime I need. And they know, when it's game time that Chris, I need an HRV, LX pulled up, pull one up in black, pull an EX up in silver, boom, I come back in 6 minutes, the car's outside for me. So people aren't sitting around waiting for me to go out on my 7-acre lot and find out of 700 cars, new and used, sitting on the lot. So you want to be able to empower the employees that work for you, work with you, work at the dealership for the owner, to be able to help the customers. So you don't have to do everything. If you're at a restaurant, you're the waiter. You're not cooking the meal. You're not the hostess. You're not the guy that's taking the the check necessarily at the end. You're not the bartender making the drink. So there's people that the best waiters, the best car salesmen, they have to depend on. I talked to Ali a couple times about, or at least once about his process of hiring an assistant, because I really want to pick his brain and figure out how that would work for me. And the way that I sell cars, I don't think that I could actually have an assistant that I would be able to train to the level that I would need them to be able to do what I would want them to do, to trust that they were following through with everything that I need with my customers. So to me, I would rather just piece off the stuff that I don't want to do or don't have to do. Go verify insurance. My verify insurance, absolutely not. My finance guy's taking care of most of that, or I'm putting the customers on the phone with their insurance agent. They're taking care of that, as part of the process. So, hey, we need you to make sure you have full coverage insurance. Let's get your insurance agent on the phone. Here he is, type thing. So the paperwork at my dealership has dropped for me immensely because my management staff doesn't want producers getting bogged down with menial tasks, stuff that doesn't need to be done, that can be done by an hourly employee. So stuff that dealerships make salespeople do, just kind of make them do it. I feel like, you know what I mean? It's to make them feel like they're doing a job or something like that. To me, drove me nuts.
Because
it's
they've
like,
done it like that in the 80s. Because they done it
right,
without the computer.
right,
You should do it too.
right,
We used
right.
to do all these things and then some.
right. So I just avoid all that immensely. You know what I mean? So did they want me doing it years ago? Absolutely. I just, refused to, because it didn't benefit what I was trying to do, where I was trying to go. Now, am I telling you
When you're talking about your paperwork, Frank, how much paperwork do you have to do for your deal?
I don't know. How much paperwork do you have to do? You tell me. What do you do for a deal?
I have a buyer's order, credit app.
Why are we doing a buyer's order?
Got to do a buyer's order.
For what?
Final numbers before it goes in the finance office.
Don't you already have that on a piece of paper when you actually print it out for your customer, with interest rate, payment, all your numbers already spelled out on there for you?
On your buyer's order, you have your buyer's order. You have your credit application. You have a copy of a driver's license, the insurance card.
Oh.
You have to have the customer's email address. You have to have a checklist. You have to do
So what Frankie
2
said,
copies.
isn't the buyer's order the same information as the bill of sale?
They're going to sign. They're going to
Yeah,
sign.
that's a bill of sale, it's a buyer's order.
You're going to handwrite a buyer's order. They're going to go into the business department. And they're going to print up an actual buyer's order anyway. I'm sitting there wasting time to handwrite a buyer's order like they did what my son calls the 1900s. He's 9 years old, so everything that happened pre-2000 was the 1900s to Frankie Jr. Just isn't the way that it needs to be done. To be compliant, you have to have a buyer's order, obviously, but that's done in the finance office, when all the final numbers are actually printed up. So to handwrite a buyer's order and have somebody sign it, to me, makes no sense. Taking deposits makes zero sense to me. I haven't taken a deposit on anything in probably a decade. Deposits in our states mean basically nothing. It's if you didn't take a car over the curb or actually have a product, they mean nothing. So if the customer wasn't going to buy a car from you anyway, it doesn't matter if you have $1 deposit or a $5,000 deposit. It's all BS, smoke and mirrors at that point. I do business on handshakes. People try to give me money and I just shake their hand. We do business on handshakes here. So is there a checklist? Yeah, it's just a dealership piece of paper that I avoid doing. I have 18 years doing this. If I don't know it needs to be in a lease, if I don't know it needs to be in a finance deal, at this point, to me, I shouldn't be doing my job. So a lot of that busy work that dealerships make you do, I do not do. And I fought it for years. And, that's just, they want you to do it. And, I'm not doing it. It doesn't make any sense to me. So it's not getting us more customers. It's not getting us to the next level. It's not all it's doing is filling your downtime, and your downtime should be the time that you're getting yourself pumped up to get the next customer, to be able to serve the next person, to be able to make that phone call or shoot that text. The best time to sell a car is right after you sold a car. You got your blood pumping, you're flowing, you're ready to go. You're high-fiving the mirror, boom, love being you, just sold a car, go out and sell another car. You don't want to get bogged down with all that paperwork. So to me, my dealership's pretty progressive anymore. Got a new sales manager, Gregor Peace. He's with me with this whole social media thing. General manager's on board with, moving things forward. At the same point, he brought up a good thing the other day. There's a lot of new tools that are out there, but, a carpenter's still going to need a hammer, and he's still going to need a screwdriver, and he's still going to need a regular tape measure. Everything can't be a laser, and everything can't be, you still need those other tools. So, you still need those salespeople that are selling 8, 12, 15 cars, doing those processes, I guess. But to me, it's definitely not what's going to keep me at the level that I need to be. So my answer to the paperwork question is, do I do paperwork? Not much of it. My finance guy does a lot of it. So is he an assistant? Absolutely not. He's a teammate. He works very hard for our clients. I work very hard for our clients, and my clients don't care if I sit there and do paperwork. They care about the process being efficient. And in our state, there's a lot of paperwork to do. State of Pennsylvania, there's a lot of paperwork to do. But to do a redundant piece of paper, to me, makes no sense. So to actually handwrite a buyer's order, I probably couldn't even do it anymore. I haven't done it so long. It would take me forever.
Yeah, so I wanted to clarify something because, as a matter of fact, the finance guy is the one responsible for the paperwork anyways. They send it
Right.
salesperson. So it's in their best interest. But what Sean is talking about is there's a lot of dealerships out there where the finance guy would be sitting on their desk in their computer eating a salad or burger, and they would wait for the salesperson to literally run across the dealership from the porter to the showroom, sweating, collecting all the tips, collecting all the information, and they would not move their finger until they have everything in a package presented to them. And if it's not perfectly packaged, they're going to throw it on the floor. They're going to waste their time. So this is what happens.
I've had that before. I've had it out with finance managers. I'm not going to let somebody else dictate how successful I'm going to be able to be. So for me to wait for a finance manager to do his job, or for me to, hold up a deal because of one step that we'll be able to get 100% that I know we'll be able to get, it's not going to happen. We're going to find a way to figure out to make this process efficient. So there is no stopping the train once it starts rolling, basically, on there. So
what you've mentioned earlier is that you empower your coworkers to do. Hey, what's up, Jim?
This is Frankie Jr.
Are you an Eagles?
Hey, Frank, he looks like he's a Patriots fan there.
Oh, show him, Frankie. Show him. There you go.
Go home. I'm not a Patriot.
Oh, you got it wrong.
Frank, I have another question for you.
Buddy.
Frank, I have another question for you.
Go to bed.
You're doing your own numbers, okay? What profit margin are you working on per deal, roughly?
If this ends up being public, I don't really want to talk about profit margin and all that stuff. But
Okay.
I'm at the tops of, to me, that's not respectful of my clients at all. So
Okay.
I can tell you that I'm at the tops of our whole organization, for every aspect of everything. So my dealership would not let me sell 100 cars and be able to do everything that I do every day if my numbers weren't at the top of where I was every day.
Yeah.
Kids are home from school. They got their Eagle stuff on, so sorry to hear that all that Patriots guys.
You know what the industry average is? Just times 100, and you'll get an idea of what it is. Okay. But what I want to say is, you empower your coworkers. You empower your coworkers
to do their jobs. I actually work with a couple of adults, believe it or not. Which
do you motivate them with anything like an incentive? Do you motivate them?
No.
Do you pay them? Do you buy them pizza? Do you recognize them in any way, or you just?
100%. Hey guys, could you go upstairs for a few minutes? I'll be up in a couple. All right. Thank you so much. I'll be up in a little while. Shut that door for me. Sure. I'll be up in a little bit. A beautiful family. Oh, do I take them out for dinner or, you know, a couple drinks? Absolutely. You know what I mean? So you have to give back, you know, but me being as successful as I'm able to be makes them successful as they'll ever be able to be. So, you know, my finance guy, Damien, he's, you know, never been this successful. You know, his PVR has never been as high as it's been. And he's a true professional. He knows his job. He knows how to talk to clients. He knows how to present everything where it makes sense for somebody, not to, you know, necessarily sell somebody, but present to them why they need gap insurance. You know, when I totals their car, it's, you know, be able to explain that to them. So I don't have to worry when I bring a client in to see him that doesn't know him, that he's going to make me look bad. It's the same thing like referring somebody over to, you know, an insurance agent or, you know, somewhere else in life. I don't have to worry about him, you know, messing up the relationship that we have. So paperwork wise, he'll do a lot of the insurance stuff. I still collect driver's license insurance. I get as much stipulations, you know, as I possibly can, but he's not afraid to get out of the desk, come out and actually talk to the customer. You know, call the bank, get a payoff for me. You know, he doesn't mind. Hates calling, you know, certain banks because they take forever, but doesn't mind, you know, doing it because that's our job. We're adults. We know how to do our job. And too many times I feel like, you know, everybody just sits around and you know, some salespeople, some finance guys, all they want to do is bitch all day. Well, you know what? They don't need to be on my team.
What are some pieces of advice you could give to these great salespeople here listening to us? How could they motivate their own coworkers? What could they do to recognize them that it's not monetary, but just because my porters used to say, the reason why we're helping you is because you recognize us as human beings and you actually understand what we're going through, and you take the time to recognize us by giving us, you know, the recognition that we feel we deserve. I rarely paid them. I used to buy them pizza once a month, but I rarely paid them any tips. And they would always, you know, clean my cars first because I took the time to recognize their hard work, you know. And a lot of the other salespeople, the 10-car guys, they treated them like they worked for them, and they would throw the keys at them and treat them like crap. So sometimes being able to motivate someone is a big deal to them because now they see that their hard work is recognized.
Most important people that you have to motivate shouldn't be the people that are making some of the most money in your dealership, your finance guys, stuff like that. If they aren't already motivated, you know, then you have to figure out a way to either work around them or through them, you know, because they should already be, if they're good at their job, they should be at the tops of the food chain as far as money that's being made. So monetary, you know, you giving them a slice of pizza or, you know, taking them out for a night, it isn't going to be incentive getting the grumpy old finance guy, you know, to suddenly become a superstar. The people that motivate, you know, with a little bit of money, I mean, I take care of my lot guys big time, you know, tip them just like we would a barmaid or something like that. You know, you want to make sure you tip those people, right? You take care of them. You're the most important people to me are my valets and my detail guys because they dictate the speed of the process. If I can't get a car through detail in 20 minutes when I'm busy, it could be death. Because then I have 7 people sitting in a dealership waiting rather than 3 and everything's turning. You know what I mean? My valets need to be able to help me get the tags on. I don't have to explain to them what to do. They know what to do because I've taught them. I've empowered them to actually be able to do something rather than just be a lot guy. You know what I mean? They're part of the team. So, you know, they're helping me on Saturday. They're switching tags. They're, you know, helping people if need to move their car, you know, from one car to the other car, you know, so they're taking up a lot of that stuff for me where I'm doing a lot of the process, but the stuff that you don't need to do, if you really start to get to the next level, you need to find a way to defer that to employees. You don't necessarily have to pay an assistant to do that. And I couldn't hire an assistant, like I said, because I don't I'd probably fire about 20 of them before I found the
I
one that
tried-
might work.
I tried three times. All of them wanted to be paid per hour. They don't understand what I'm going through, working 100% commissions. I spend enormous amount of time training them, and it's so hard to find the right match. It literally, it's
Right.
1 of 100. So no one has the time to find a great assistant. I mean, Ali is very fortunate with his assistant. She's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So he was
Absolutely.
very lucky to find her. But the match between your personality and that person's personality has to be perfect. Just like the experience with the finance guy is seamless. It's like talking to the same guy. The same thing has to be with the system. So any more questions for Frank? We got to let him go very soon. Oscar, do you have any questions? Okay, Frank, if you don't mind, just give us your 3 strongest pieces of advice for 2018 for salespeople as far as sales skills, and then your strongest 3 pieces of advice for 2018 as far as marketing skills, because I know you're offering red carpet delivery, VIP delivery. You've got a lot of things that are building your brand out there, and people recognize you by your social media activities. Please share with us, some of the things that you're doing for the community already, and give this young salespeople the most precious piece of advice that you wish you had, 10 years ago.
You need to be able to brand yourself, and that word to me means different than what a lot of people are doing. So I see all these car salesmen nowadays, and they're all just trying to get this catchy phrase of something that rhymes with their name or something, or an emoji that looks like them or something like that to put up. And to me, that's not branding. When you brand yourself, you become the brand. Like, I don't need something that looks like me or a catchy phrase or something to actually be my brand. I am my brand. And you brand yourself by building relationships with people, not by coming up with this, catchy sales phrase or, jingle that's gonna work for you. That's old school. That's not the way it is anymore. So the way you want to brand yourself is you need to ask every customer. If you're selling 15 to 20 cars a month, and you're not doing a Facebook post with every single one of them, or at least 90% of them, and getting a review or asking for a review from every single one of those clients, you're never going to grow. You're just going to be that 15, 20 car guy, which is fine with some people, and that's all fine and good. That's what their mental makeup wants them to be, and that's who they're going to be. If you truly want to get to the next level and get everything snowballing now, in this segment of life, social media is where it's at. So you need to get yourself out of the comfort zone of these salespeople. That even the younger guys, it's not just the older gentlemen and women. Some of the younger salespeople, they don't want to be on Facebook. They don't want to do a Facebook video. I do everything live. I don't do videos. I don't do good with a script. I just need to be able to be me and just turn on the camera and just talk. And that's kind of what works for me. That doesn't necessarily have to be what works for every other salesperson, but to brand yourself, you need to be able to build the relationships within your community. And the way you do that is actually showing up for community events. The way you can do that quickly is to actually get invited into a lot of these groups that are out there that have already a lot of people in them in your community. So for instance, we have a lot of school district groups that I'm in. I'm in Garnet Valley School District, but a lot of people that I've sold cars to in Ridley School District, Springfield, Interborough, all these local communities have invited me into their virtual communities, being these groups that have 20,000 members already, and 20,000 members that trust each other. So when, the lady yesterday that bought a car from me, she's in that sales group, that group of mainline parenting site. Anytime that anybody asks for a car, my name gets tagged 30, 40, 50 times. I'll see a salesperson get tagged, another guy would tag once, and, he'll instant message me, hey, I got no shot at this one, huh? Just because, he's not branding himself at that point. But instead of, so getting to the Facebook thing, you get tagged on Facebook. A lot of people will just like it or send a little comment. And to me, that's like waving to somebody from across the bar, back in the day. You don't want to do that. So what you want to do, you get tagged in a post, comment on the post, thank the person who tagged you in the post, and then actually instant message the person that is asking the question about the car. Mrs. Smith was looking for a Subaru or Honda, and my name gets tagged 3 times. So I make the first move. Just send her, instant message. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I went on your Facebook page. I was tagged in this. I noticed I've sold 30 of our mutual customers, mutual friends cars already. Just wanted to introduce myself. If you have any questions, feel free to send it to me. I'd rather give you all the information right up front, so if you have a question about pricing your cars, and just kind of make that introduction rather than, we forget that being in virtual, life now, social, we kind of forget our social skills, more or less. Me, you never want to just wave, to somebody across the bar, you want to buy them a drink. You want to walk up and actually have a conversation with them. Hi, my name is, just start up a conversation. So you have to be able to do that socially.
With you. You proactively start that conversation. You don't wait for them to start it with you, because they obviously made the first step already by doing the comment. That's all they.
This is real life now, right? Me and you were talking where before we would have to meet, and you'd be staring at me and I'd be staring at you, and most of the time nobody wants to make the first move. You got to make the first move. Somebody that knows us, so that's how that's your in. That's your in right there. So you got to figure out how to build on that in and come up with a relationship with somebody. So that's the new age of branding yourself and building that relationship. But most important is online reviews. If you want to get business and build your trust, you need to be asking for online reviews. Don't sit around and wait for people who say, well, do you ask, do you solicit for reviews? Absolutely, 100%. I don't care. I want my name everywhere. I want it everywhere. I want it on everything. I want every website that you go on, I want Frank Crinite to be at the top of that. So if I start seeing a salesperson creep up, I'm going to start pounding that website, with reviews, because I want to be number one at everything. I don't like to lose at any aspect of life in general. So competitively, I need to win.
So Frank, before we let you go, share with us one piece of advice that you learned the hard way.
That I've learned the hard way. It's a great question. I don't know the answer. I feel like I learn everything the hard way, It's always the stick for me for some reason.
Something that you've beating your head in the wall for many years, and eventually you changed that. And
yeah, it was the sales process of reading all those reviews that customer give you. You need to change the process of going over stuff. So people would be so happy when they bought the car, and then you'd read a review of, why wasn't the stuff presented to me before? Why wasn't the warranty talked to me before? Why did it take 4 hours for them to do this paperwork? There was only 8 pieces of paper that I actually signed. What takes so long? What takes so long? It shouldn't take that long. My whole thing when somebody comes in tomorrow to buy a car, most of the stuff's already done. My line is, you're going to be able to get a car quicker, and you can order a pizza here to get delivered. If you want pepperoni and well done, that might take a little bit longer. Some other things, but we're going to make it a quick, efficient process. Unless you need it to be a longer process, and I'm more than happy to oblige. And most people, no, we want to get in. And that's what most people want to do. They want to get in, they want to get out, they want to be made to feel special. So don't just sit back. I'm not sitting back saying that I'm one of the top sales professionals in the business right now, and oh my God, isn't this great? I'm coming up with new things. We're plotting, we're planning. I'm stealing stuff from other people, information. The best and easiest way to be able to be successful is find out what somebody else is successful at, steal it, adapt it to yourself, come up with your own lines, lingo off something successful that somebody's doing. So, everybody keeps instant messaging me, hey, do you mind if we take the whole red carpet thing? No, man, steal it. Go for it. You know, if you come up with a good idea, I'm going to steal it too if I think it's a good idea, and I'm going to give you all the props in the world, you know, for you too. Absolutely. That's what this is supposed to be. You know, that's what I feel like these groups are supposed to be. You know, and not all the groups are. That's why when you first approached me, remember you said, "Hey, do you mind if we do an interview?" I said, "Listen, you know, I take my reputation very seriously. I don't know you, you know, months ago. So I'm going to have to decline at that time. If you remember the first time that you asked me, because I didn't know who you were, you know what I mean? So I didn't know if you were one of these sales groups that all they want to talk about is, you know, how much gross do you make per, I'd rather sell, you know, 15 cars and make this a month rather than, you know, I don't want to deal with that all day. So, you know, once I found out you were doing things the right way, the way that, you know, my morals and the way that I want to do things, then yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to, you know, sit in and help out. So to me, that's what all these groups should be about, is just taking information, you know, for lack of a better word, just stealing from each other, borrowing from each other,
Yes.
you know, bouncing ideas off each other. That's what this should all be about. Not you have this proprietary information and, you know, trying to keep it. What good's that going to do for anybody? You know what I mean? So the more people that I can kind of helps me, because it keeps my brain going too. So yeah, karma and all that stuff, but it also keeps me thinking. It keeps me sharp, you know, rather than just sitting around wasting my time. Now I'm thinking about, well, you know, what I said, I actually need to do. I can't just sit here and preach about it. I actually need to do it. So, you know, that's one of the things that getting these groups, getting some good groups, get out of the groups that are all negativity and all BS of you know, guys selling 15 cars and making $1 billion. You know, that's all they want to talk about, and the old ways of selling cars, and it's over. They're dinosaurs, and the business is definitely changing. So you need to adapt to it now rather than wait for that wave. For me to sit around and watch a sitcom week to week on cable TV is over. Nobody does that. Everybody wants Netflix now, right? Netflix, or you get anything you want on demand. So everything has to be on demand. You have to be the Netflix of the car business. Be the next thing that's coming. Not just try to be the Netflix, but also try to figure out what the next thing's going to be over and above Netflix, or Netflix VR, or whatever else is going to come out. You have to be that.
Just like our clients don't need a third baseman anymore, we don't need that middleman. We don't need to advertise in a newspaper. We don't need to advertise in a TV channel. We don't need to be on radio. We have that free opportunity to do whatever we want through social media. So you also said that what you did was reverse engineer the client's experience, and that's how you adjusted your process. And it took you a few years to do that, to get that.
Absolutely.
That it's important.
Absolutely. You can't just say you're going to do this, snap your fingers, and have the clout at your dealership to be able to do it. They'll brush you aside or write you up or fire you. You know what I mean? In most dealerships, but you have to have a management staff that actually understands where the car business is going, and be able to empower the salespeople to be able to brand themselves, to stand out, to have clients come in. Because the days, to me, of, I keep going back to this, but you know, advertising on the radio for customers to come in, or the newspaper, or even sending ads or mailers, are going to be over, if they're not already, pretty soon. The client needs to need you, not the dealership, for you to be successful. So you waiting for the dealership to get you internet leads, you waiting for the dealership to send out ads. You know, I say, oh, the dealership didn't do any advertising in January. That's why we're so freaking slow. And, you know, this, that, the other thing. Who cares what the dealership's doing? You need to be able to figure out what you're doing every day.
The game is over, right?
What's that?
The game with leads and walk-ins, it's dead. It's
Nobody's a walk-in anymore. There's still guys that hang out front of the dealership. You know what they're doing? They're opening the door for my customers. That's all they're doing. They're ushers. That's all they are, is ushers. And, you know, I appreciate that. No problem. You know, maybe you can go get my customer, you know, a cold bottle of water or a hot cup of coffee, you know, while you're at it, because that's all you're doing out there. Will those guys still sell cars? Sure, they'll still sell cars. You know, they'll skate people, and they'll, you know, do all the old ways and old things that are still going on in the car business that I don't have any time to worry about, ruin my day. If somebody skated me, because if I did my job well enough, that customer is going to know to come in and ask for me anyway. They're not going to get sidetracked by another salesperson that's outside being a lot lizard or something like that. But most people aren't a walk-in. Nobody goes onto a lot and doesn't already know, that they're there to look at a car or not. Most people don't walk by. They already picked their car out on their iPad.
All right. Well, I think this was an amazing interview. If you guys have a final question, go ahead. If not, we're going to let Frank take care of his family. He was more than generous with his time. So, Oscar, if you have a question, anyone?
No.
No, thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, go Eagles.
31-17 Pats.
Yeah, ready? I've been on point all year. I called the blowout. I missed the game last week calling it by I think I said it was going to be 31-7. It was 38-7. So I have been an absolute wizard. You ready? 42-10. It's an absolute blowout. Ready? And Brady, yeah, I know. We talk about the past. I know. Brady is going to go out before the first half, and you guys got rid of your backup quarterback because of Belichick and Kraft. That's going to come back to bite you big time. Mark my words. You heard it here. I got it.
All right. Well, great finish. Thank you so much, Frank. We really appreciate you, brother. Keep rocking.
Yep, absolutely.
Get to 2,000 this
Keep
year.
doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, Velko. You're doing great, man. I'll see everybody. Have a great weekend. All right. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.